Imagine the sky. Not just this vast, empty blue, but like a living museum. You've got the past and the present of aviation flying side by side. Hear that. That deep roar, that's a modern jet. And then that unmistakable thrum of an old propeller plane. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something truly spectacular that brings exactly that vision to life. Welcome back. Really glad you've joined us again as we explore these incredible stories hidden in the sources you give us. If you love uncovering, surprising facts and getting a shortcut to being well-informed, please take just a second to like, share, and subscribe. It honestly helps our channel grow so much and lets us bring you even more great stuff. Okay, so let's unpack this one. Today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary world of naval aviation, our sources. Well, they range from official Navy program descriptions, like really detailed flight instructions, all the way to this fascinating personal account from a pilot, a guy who made his own pretty unique journey to join what they call a legacy airline.
What's really fascinating here, I think, is how these different kinds of sources, they weave together, they paint this comprehensive picture of, what it really means to preserve and propel aviation history. It's not just about the machines, right?
Right.
It's about the people, the incredible people who fly them, the meticulous processes behind it all, keeping everyone safe, and the legacies they create.
Absolutely. And at the heart of one of our main topics today is this thing called the Navy Legacy Flight Program. Now, this is a truly unique concept. You have today's frontline military fighters paired up with their historical predecessors, flying in these incredibly close, synchronized maneuvers at air shows all over the country. It's more than just a performance. It's this powerful, moving tribute to naval aviators, past and present.
It really is a striking visual, isn't it? You see these cutting-edge modern jets like the FA-18F Rhino, that's the Navy's sort of workhorse multi-role fighter,
Okay.
or the FA-18G Growler, which is their electronic countermeasures aircraft, built to jam enemy radar.
Right.
And even the stealthy F-35C Lightning C, that's the Navy's newest fifth-gen fighter. And the remarkable thing is they're flying right alongside these incredible warbirds.
Wow.
Historic aircraft from World War II, Korea, Vietnam.
Yeah.
It really is like watching a living timeline unfold right there in the sky.
And it keeps evolving, too. Our sources mention that since 2022, U.S. Navy training aircraft are also part of the show now, both static displays and the legacy flights themselves.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And the teams bringing this spectacle to life, they're the U.S. Navy's TACDEMER teams. We're talking active duty aviators here.
Wow.
From VFA 106, the Gladiators on the East Coast,
Right.
and VFA 122, the Flying Eagles out west. These are the top tier squadrons representing the very best.
But it's not just active duty military pilots doing the flying, which is interesting. There's also this highly select group of civilian pilots. They're officially approved by the Navy, okay? And they fly their own privately owned warbirds in these formations.
Seriously, their own planes.
Yeah, their own vintage warbirds. And they go through this intensive week-long training every spring. It's a preparation process that's absolutely crucial, for safety first and foremost, but also to make sure those demonstrations are as well enjoyable and awe-inspiring as they are across the U.S.
It's like watching that living timeline, like you said, just unfold right there. But beyond the sheer spectacle, what I find really incredible is the amount of precision involved. I mean, you've got these vastly different aircraft types flying so close. How do they even begin to ensure safety? What are the key elements there?
That's a crucial point, yeah. And if we connect this to the sort of the bigger picture,
Yeah.
these aren't just casual flyovers, not at all. The Navy makes sure these complex, dissimilar formation flights are not only spectacular, but also incredibly safe through very, very strict official guidance.
Okay.
Participation is rigorously guided by this joint instruction. It comes from Commander, Naval Air Force, Pacific, that's Caro-N of AirPac.
Yeah.
They handle the West Coast. And Commander, Naval Air Force, Atlantic Comaverland for the East Coast. Specifically, its instruction 3700.2D. That basically lays out the Navy's comprehensive rulebook for these specific airshow operations.
So that instruction, that's really the backbone then, isn't it? It ensures the pilots are qualified, that the flights are executed safely.
Exactly.
It's all about vividly demonstrating naval aviation history to communities and, importantly, supporting Navy recruiting. It's impressive how meticulously they've thought this through.
It absolutely is. And the detail in that instruction is pretty fascinating. The standard flyover sequence, for example, it includes several distinct maneuvers. You've got the taxi, takeoff, the rendezvous, then the legacy pass, which some people jokingly call the banana pass because of its arc.
Yeah, okay.
Then a head-on legacy pass, the flight breakup, recovery, and finally taxi back. And critically, the Navy aircraft always join on the warbird's wing, not the other way around.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And the goal, they emphasize this, is a good-looking formation, not a tight formation. It says a lot, right, about managing risk while still delivering maximum visual impact.
What I'm finding really fascinating as we dig into this is just the sheer precision needed. Flying these completely different types of aircraft so close together, our sources point out specific safety minimums, like they fly at just 300 feet AGL, that's above ground level.
Right, pretty low.
Over the shoreline. And they have to maintain a minimum airspeed of 200 knots indicated airspeed, key eyes for the flyby. Plus, the weather minimums are quite strict. You need at least a 1,500-foot ceiling and 3 miles of visibility. That's a tiny window for error.
And that precision, it extends right into the training. These training sessions are mandatory for the military pilots involved. For the civilian pilots, the newly nominated ones have to do both ground school and flight portions for their initial qualification. And even the previously qualified civilian pilots, they have to attend the ground portion every other year. Safety is just. It's paramount. They have detailed briefings before and after every single flight. This really rigorous ongoing approach, it just underscores the Navy's absolute commitment to making these demonstrations safe, despite how complex they are and the huge differences between the planes.
So what does this all mean when you look at the bigger picture? It means these flights are this powerful blend of history, patriotism, and a really vital link to the future of our nation's defense.
Yeah.
But that kind of commitment, it must come at a significant cost, right? Why does the Navy invest so much in this program?
That's a great question. And it's because it's so much more than just an air show. It's really this multifaceted thing that serves several critical purposes. Firstly, it's a profound historical tribute. These flights are like a living salute to the countless men and women who've flown, designed, tested, maintained these amazing machines over the decades. They vividly showcase the evolution of U.S. Navy air power, really reflecting on the nation's proud past. It's just a powerful way to connect generations.
And it goes hand in hand with actually preserving that heritage, right? Programs like this, and also institutions like the National Naval Aviation Museum, they actively keep naval aviation's ties to its proud heritage alive. I mean, the museum itself, it started modestly in 1962 with just 8 aircraft.
Wow, only 8?
Yeah, and now it's over 350,000 square feet with more than 150 historic aircraft. They're even actively recovering and restoring warbirds from incredible places like the bottom of Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan.
Yeah, bringing them back to life, for the public to see and making sure these stories are never forgotten.
That's incredible. And beyond the history part, it serves a very practical, forward-looking purpose, recruitment and inspiration. These air shows, the legacy flights, they're a significant recruiting tool for the U.S. military.
Right.
They directly support the Navy Recruiting Command's mission by inspiring the next generation, young Americans to think about joining naval aviation. It's incredibly effective community engagement, really, on a massive scale.
Totally. Air shows bring in millions of spectators nationwide. It gives military and civilian pilots this unique chance to share their passion, educate the public. It's a great symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely.
But it's also worth noting there have been funding challenges. Our sources mention that due to past budget cuts, like sequestration back in 2013,
yeah, I remember that.
the Navy Tailhook Legacy Flight Foundation, NTLFF, was set up in 2015, basically to raise the necessary funding. They need a minimum budget of over $300,000 per season, and they rely on donations to keep these incredible flights going.
Wow, that shows real dedication.
It really does. It highlights the passion involved, even beyond official funding. Okay, so from that incredible structured legacy of naval aviation, let's transition now to a different kind of legacy, a very personal one. We found this fascinating account from a pilot who went from 0 flight experience to flying for a legacy airline in just 3.5 years.
Which is, frankly, incredibly fast. And what's really compelling here is how his journey, despite being so unique and honestly full of challenges, it highlights these universal lessons about perseverance, about making unconventional decisions, and just adapting to the unexpected in a really high-stakes field.
Yeah.
He actually says he's just an average schmuck with a little motivation.
Yeah.
But his story, I think, reveals something deeper about proactively grabbing opportunities, even when they look nothing like the ideal path.
He certainly had an unconventional path. Started his pilot journey at 30. That was October 2019. No prior flight experience at all.
30 is, not the typical starting age for an airline career track.
Yeah. Not at all. And he took this huge financial risk, an $80,000 loan at almost 9% interest. Believing that getting into the airlines faster would pay off long term, he chose one of those Zero to Hero Part 141 flight schools.
Right, the accelerated ones.
Exactly. Highly structured, FAA approved, designed for speed, even though the costs were super high, like $575 an hour for a twin engine trainer, a DA-42. Talk about commitment.
And he hit hurdles right away, too. He's very open about it. Struggled with air sickness at first. Thankfully, that went away after about 25 hours. But maybe even more significantly, he talked openly in his interviews about having 3 failed check rides.
Oof. 3.
3. Those are the practical exams, right?
Yeah.
He failed his commercial oral exam, his multi-engine add-on flight test, and his CFII flight test. That's the one to become a certified flight instructor for instrument flying.
Wow.
But the fact that he was transparent about these setbacks and it didn't automatically disqualify him from airline interviews, that's an important point, I think, for anyone aspiring to be a pilot. Shows the value of honesty and just demonstrating resilience.
Then came the massive curveball, COVID-19. He actually got fired from his flight school over disagreements about flying in bad weather.
Yikes.
But instead of quitting, he pivoted. Moved to the Midwest to flight instruct when jobs were really scarce. And then, in what he called a YOLO Alaska move,
YOLO Alaska.
he became a bush pilot in Western Alaska, literally just knocking on doors looking for work. And he said it was the best time of his life. Flying a ton, chasing moose and bears, fishing on glacier lakes.
Sounds incredible, actually.
His story just shows you don't need that perfectly smooth flight path, right? Sometimes the detours, the unexpected turns, that's where you learn the most valuable stuff.
Absolutely. And his career kept moving strategically after that. He went through regional airlines, specifically Endeavor, and then moved to cargo with Amerijet. That move gave him invaluable experience on the Boeing 767, a wide-body jet.
Big plane experience.
Exactly. And international long-haul flying over the Pacific. Our sources specifically state this proved extremely valuable when he interviewed with the legacy airlines. You know, the big names like Delta, American, United, Hawaiian.
And then came maybe his toughest decision. He apparently had multiple offers: Delta, Hawaiian, Alaska, American, Southwest.
Wow, spoiled for choice in that hiring market.
Right. But he ultimately chose Hawaiian over Delta, which many people might see as the quote-unquote top carrier, and he explicitly said it was about prioritizing quality of life.
Interesting.
Yeah, he described his interview at Hawaiian as wonderful. He was drawn by the idea of living in Hawaii, potentially faster progression to wide-body captain there, and easier access to Korea to visit his parents. This wasn't just like a career spreadsheet decision. It was deeply personal.
And this pilot's journey, it just screams this often overlooked truth, doesn't it? Yeah. Success isn't always the biggest paycheck or the most prestigious logo on your hat. It really raises that question: what truly defines success in a demanding career like aviation? His story suggests it might be that quiet, maybe even radical choice to align your professional life with your personal values, even if it means saying no to what looks like the top from the outside. It's a profound statement, I think, on what fuels a fulfilling life in these high-pressure industries. He pins his success on decision-making, riding that industry wave, but emphasizes, just an average schmuck with a little motivation.
And for those of you listening who might be considering this path, he notes the hiring boom for pilots. It's expected to last well into the early 2030s.
Still a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah. His advice: seek counsel from experienced people, definitely. And always follow opportunity, even if it means sacrificing some comfort in the short term. It's a powerful lesson in adaptability, for sure.
Wow, what an incredible deep dive today. We've traveled from those majestic, synchronized flights of the Navy Legacy Flight Program, honoring generations of naval aviators and their incredible machines, all the way to the very personal, kind of gritty, but ultimately triumphant journey of one pilot carving his own unique path to a legacy airline.
Yeah, both narratives really underscore that profound dedication, the rigorous training involved, and the critical strategic choices that define aviation. Whether it's preserving history up there in the skies, these amazing displays, or navigating a really challenging personal career path on the ground and in the air, it's all about building a legacy, isn't it? One flight and one decision at a time.
So, as you reflect on today's deep dive, maybe consider this. The Navy Legacy Flight Program shows us how honoring the past really fuels the future, while our pilot's story, it shows how sometimes the most unexpected detours, the YOLO Alaska moments, can lead you to your truest destination. So maybe ask yourself, What legacy are you building, not just in your job, but in how you navigate challenges and prioritize your own quality of life, your own personal values? Thank you again sincerely for joining us for this deep dive. If you enjoyed uncovering these insights with us, please do remember to hit that like button, share this with someone you think would appreciate it, and subscribe to our channel. Your support really helps us keep bringing you more incredible content just like this. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking what if.